The 2018 hurricane season begins on June 1st. Now, last year, Hurricane Harvey caused widespread destruction and temporarily disrupted energy supplies. So what will this year's storm season bring? Joining us to discuss that, what's going to be done to insulate consumers from potential fuel disruptions this storm season, is American Petroleum Institute's Suzanne Lemieux. Suzanne, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Well, June 1st is creeping upon us here very shortly. So what are we kind of doing to prepare?
So the industry is doing quite a bit to prepare. Certainly 2017 was very impactful to the oil industry, which is largely based out of Houston, Texas, where Harvey had its largest impacts. So there were a lot of lessons learned, not only from Harvey, but from Irma and from Maria, as well as previous storms such as Superstorm Sandy and Hurricanes Ike and Gustav in 2008 and Rita and Katrina in 2005. So the industry over the years has been implementing a lot of the lessons learned from those storms into their operations to help improve the reliability of the system, to help improve our employees' ability to respond and care for their own families during crises such as Hurricane Harvey, and to make sure that we have the products necessary for those impacted communities. There's a lot that can be done to make the supply chain resilient, to keep prices down, and that's really what we're focused on and going into the 2018 season.
And so, like you were saying, when we did have this disruption last year, there was a spike in some of those prices, but it didn't last that long. Why is that, or what was kind of going on behind the scenes?
So right now, the U.S. is the largest producer of oil and natural gas in the world, and that really helps support our markets, support local demand, and allow us to process, refine, and transport products here domestically. And that keeps prices reasonable for the consumer. We also, while 25% of the refining capacity in the U.S. was impacted by Harvey and Irma, 75% wasn't, and that's all spread out across the country. So even when there are regional disruptions, we're able to keep the supply chain flowing and to provide those critical fuel supplies to the communities that are impacted.
And is there maybe some policy changes that would also kind of help in that insulation?
So I don't know about policy changes necessarily, but certainly access is something that we think is critical to maintaining domestic supplies. We have a lot of onshore access right now. The industry would like to see more offshore access. We also want to make sure that any regulations put in place by either federal or state governments are reasonable and help the industry continue to thrive while being environmentally safe and responsible within the communities we're operating in. We also want to make sure that any tax policy is reasonable and helpful for the consumer. 18% of what you pay at the pump is taxes, and so that is something that is often based at the state level. So working with your state regulators, we want to make sure that the prices remain stable and taxes remain reasonable for benefits to the consumers.
Well, of course, and that is, of course, what we want as well. Is there a place where we can go online to kind of learn more and keep in touch with what's going on?
Absolutely. If you go to www.api.org/hurricanes, there's a lot of information about how the industry prepares and responds for these storms, as well as about consumer prices and how they're affected during supply chain disruptions.
Well, Suzanne, thank you so much. This was a lot of education and makes a lot of sense in what we can look forward to, hopefully, for this year. Thank you again.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll be right back.